Having conversations about political topics can sometimes be exhausting, and it can feel almost dehumanizing. We become less of who we are or less who we think ourselves to be. So here are 3 tips for engaging those topics well in a way that helps you to retain a hold on your humanity and contribute generously to the human community. When you look at the political process, you probably get a little bit discouraged, even dismayed. It seems hard to sort out like who's telling the truth or if they're telling the truth, and also whether anything is going to change. Maybe it just seems like out there, it's a post-apocalyptic political nightmare, and I am just made to endure whatever it is, which is tough, and I sympathize with that. I feel that. My name is Father Gregory Pine, and I teach at the Dominican House of Studies in Washington, D.C. I also work as an assistant director for the Thomistic Institute, and I want to give you a little bit of encouragement for political engagement. It seems like the quality of the political conversation has devolved or degraded over the course of the years, and as a result of which, people are whitewashing their candidate and demonizing the other candidate and just generally beating the breast and banging the drum and shouting, which I think for a lot of us, we just prefer to distance ourselves from that whole conversation or from the way that it takes place. Because to be involved in political things often enough is kind of messy. But when that temptation arises, this is just small encouragement to keep it in check. Not in the sense that, okay, all of us need to be political advocates yesterday, so get after it, friends. We as human beings only come to our fulfillment in community. There are certain things that you can't do for yourself. You can't raise a family by yourself. You can't raise up a rank or a generation of saints by yourself. Given the fact that God made us as He did, He intends for us to be social and even to be political. And that's not something that's necessarily dirty or impure. It's something that we can do well, that we can do virtuously while retaining hold of our humanity and not losing ourselves in a series of shouting matches. So I'm not saying like be patronizing and condescending and above the fray, but don't feel that by entering the fray, you are thereby lost. We are meant to invest, or we're meant to engage with our local communities and maybe beyond to a certain extent, actually trying to promote the common good of our family, the common good of our local community, the common good of our nation, and even the common good of our church. And those things are all related. They all speak to each other. It's good to host those conversations and to engage or commit to those projects so that you can bring together the humans with whom you live or over whom you have care in a genuinely humane and humanizing thing. A lot of people will tell you like, just vote, that's it. Okay, I think voting is important insofar as by voting, you're kind of saying, this is worth it, and I'm willing to invest in this, or I'm willing to engage with this. But that's not the whole of it, all right? I think the whole of it starts local, right? So are you willing to have conversations with your friends on issues about which you disagree? If you find that any time disagreement arises, that you're retreating to the periphery of the conversation for reasons of discomfort because you just rather disappear than feel that awkwardness in an existential way, maybe it's time to, engage a little bit. Doesn't mean that you're angry. It doesn't mean that you're out of control. It doesn't mean that you're going to lose those relationships. If you really want to grow in mutual respect and in mutual love, it will mean airing those disagreements in a good way. That's the first thing, is be willing to engage in a little bit of back and forth. To be in an argument doesn't mean to be at loggerheads. It doesn't mean to be engaged in an act of violence. The second thing is contribute where you can contribute. So I think a lot of us look at the political landscape and we see all of these big kind of world historical things over which we have no control and to which we feel we can't make any contribution. And that can put us in a position of, semi-despair. Like it's bad, it's always going to be bad. I will be made a victim of the bad until Jesus comes back. There are things that you can do. Maybe at this stage, like you can get involved in student government, or you can get involved in like the local PTO, or you can get involved in the rec league. That's not just for the sake of like, I am now involved, but in the sense that you have to be involved to some degree or extent, or it's all going to go the way of all flesh, in the sense of things aren't going to get better just by mere virtue of technological progress. They're only going to get better when human beings love them, and when that love proves transformative. So if you care about these things, like run for the board or just throw your name in the hat. It will require time. You'll probably come home frustrated. You're going to air your grievances to your friends and family, but nevertheless, it can prove a labor of love. The last thing is, lay hold of your humanity and don't let anyone else take it from you. I think sometimes it's scary, the types of things that we find ourselves saying or that we find ourselves doing when in heated political debate or kind of social contentious issues. And especially as of late, it seems like a lot of us just define ourselves against. Like, these people with whom I disagree say this stuff, and so I'm just going to say not this stuff. Or I'm just going to say it in a different way and louder. You know, it's like, okay, well, as a human being, you're actually capable of knowing the truth and of loving what you discover. But that means, again, that you have to engage or you have to invest. You have to return to the things themselves rather than just living in a kind of strange virtual space of punditry where we're all being trained to be enraged or to be saddened or to be whatever else. Right? So in laying hold of our humanity, we have to recognize there are things out there which are for us, which make us better. And part of that is the common conversation and the common project as it unfolds within our community. So yeah, maybe you stay away from the outlets which are designed to tune you up. And maybe you distance yourself from some of the conversations that you deem unfruitful, but don't think as a result that there are no good places in which to meet or no good conversations to be had. There is a way forward and there is a way through. Even if our political community is in a bit of a tailspin, even if things don't get better for some time, even if the current regime fails in some way, shape, or form, you have what you need to flourish as a human being in your family, in your nation, in your church. And so in using those means, you're able to attain to the ends which God sets for you, because he never permits you to be tried beyond your strength. And he wants to bring you together in thick bonds that actually tie you up with those with whom you're meant to go to God, because ultimately we go to God together. And our lives as social and political beings, our lives as ecclesial beings should bear that out. Because the man who lives alone, says Aristotle, is either a beast or a god. And we're neither, right? We're men and women, and so we're meant for these relationships, even when they're hard. Are you interested in learning more about how to vote as a Catholic? Well, follow the link in the description to hear a longer conversation with Dr. Ryan Anderson.